assign a conflict of interest so that if there's anything you're discussing or that you're voting on, such as if you had a board supervisor on the Board of Health, that you would then withdraw from voting on that situation, okay? If you felt it was a conflict of interest. Oh, where's my keyboard? Here we go. Hope it's not the important file that I need. So what is this, Matt? Oh, you can't even see me up there yet. Is this where I need to go, or do I go here?
No, here.
I'm going here. Okay. Yes, can I hit okay?
I think so.
Ooh, there we go.
Should be popping up here.
All right. Okay. Okay, gender balanced boards. There's a law that you need to have gender balanced board. Well, sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes it's not possible. And so I have a board where they had all males and one female. And there was a vacancy, and it had been a male, and they reappointed another male. And so somebody said, well, you don't have a gender balanced board. So they had to take that board member off and replace with a female. If you cannot find someone that's willing to serve on the board, or that is of the sex that you need to balance your board, you have 90 days to try to replace them. And if you cannot do that, then you can go without the gender balanced board. I know
So what
you
does
don't.
that mean?
No, I know you don't have a gender balanced board, but if it were an issue, if it came up, and so in the future, just looking at
We used to.
when you have openings, that's what you want to look at. But that's where you go to your county attorney, and that's where Maggie would come into play. All right. I am not going to tell you what you have to do or not. I'm just telling you this is the law, and it's your county attorney that will help you with that and how you need to go. So now we have, I just want to give you a basics. So Iowa code is code written by the legislators. So they write this code. And then from there, we have Iowa administrative code, and that is the code that's written to further interpret what the legislators have written. So when we come to, here we go. When we come to local boards of health, we have chapter 137, which is Iowa code written by the legislators. Then we further define that with chapter 77, and it's local board of health. That's where it tells you what that you need 5 people on your board, and what you need for a quorum, how many times you have to meet a year, that you submit your minutes to IDPH. All those kind of things. If there was something that came up and said, well, the Board of Health shouldn't do that, we would first go look at chapter 77. If we can't find it there, or we still have questions, we would go to chapter 137 to look at the intent that the legislators had when they wrote that legislation. Okay, and so I'm going to try and just kind of quickly go over some of those rules and regs. So we also have chapter 135, which is for Iowa Department of Public Health, and that oversees, that is the, oh, why is that doing that? So 135 is where we're looking at, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, don't look at this. This is wrong here.
Don't worry.
It's back there.
Oh, it's not there.
No, it's back there.
It's over there.
I've got it back there for the board anyway to read.
Did I do something to score?
No,
Is it okay?
the input selection on that has been changed, and I don't know how to change it back to.
Okay. Are we okay with that? Can you see it okay? So ignore this Iowa code stuff here that's written out under chapter 135, but 135 is what I mean, because chapter 80 is for local public health services grant. And then we would go to chapter 135 Iowa code to look at if we didn't get our answer from chapter 80. Okay, and I will change that before I send you these slides. I apologize for that. Board of Health has to go to by open meeting laws. So that means that you need to post your agenda at least 24 hours in advance. I know that, I think your board's pretty good about posting your agenda about a week ahead of time. That's great. Then you still have a chance to change it if you need to, but 24 hours is where that cutoff is. You know, you don't want to change it after that. You don't have to publish the minutes. What you're required to do is send them to the department, and then we'll put those on Iowa Grants. There are some counties that do put those on their websites, or agencies will put them on their websites. That is up to the Board of Health and what you want to do. We do not require one way or the other, as long as you submit them to us. Things discussed at the meeting, if they've not been put on the agenda, should be tabled, or, you know, we'll get to that next meeting, which I know you're good about doing that, unless there's some type of emergency. And that's where Maggie would come into play too, where you would ask her for her advice, or is this something we can address? Closed sessions, I'd say go to Maggie for that. If you're gonna do a closed session, you wanna have your county attorney involved in whether it meets the criteria. There are 10 different reasons why you can have a closed session, and you need to make sure that you're meeting that if you're having a closed session. In fact, I would recommend that you had your county attorney here when you're doing that. You have to tape record those sessions, and then you also do minutes from that, but those are kept separate from your regular Board of Health meeting. And in the closed session, you cannot actually vote. You have to close your session, open it back up, and then that's where you would make a vote on whatever you had discussed or some type of action. There are other laws governing Board of Health members, the gift law, sales or lease of goods. You can't be a lobbyist. We already talked about conflict of interest. There's a judicial review of any board inaction or action. So these are pretty basic. I don't think that's anything. So the sales of lease or goods would be like if you're selling Pampered Chef to your clients, you know, that I could see that as a piece, a good example. Here is your Board of Health TO for now. The Board of Health, and I couldn't get my dots right. So the Board of Health oversees these three, and these three report to the Board of Health, okay? You already know our meeting, open to the public, we talked about that. No single board member makes the decisions. You have to vote on your decisions. Your quorum is majority of the board members. If you're going into closed session, that's a little bit different. That's where you have to have a majority vote. Let's see, what else? So reportable items for meetings. I do have I didn't get the handout with me, a handout that I can give you. And these are some of the things that I usually work with the agencies to tell them. These are things that you should expect at your Board of Health meetings. An administrator update, a fiscal update, something about quality, policy review, personal updates, workforce development update, and environmental health update. And I would say pretty much all of those have been covered or are going to be covered on your agenda today. So you guys are doing good on what's being reported. Your minutes record what happened. That's basic things. Okay, so now we have authorized agency. What is an authorized agency? For local public health services grant, there's authorized agencies. You have decided what services need to be provided under that grant, and they are listed in that agreement. As a result, you've decided to contract with City Health and VNA to provide those services. They are authorized agencies to provide those services. You also have additional agencies that are providing services. You have a contract such as tobacco. What's your contract? WIC. Okay, so she's not with one of your agencies, but she's a subcontractor providing services, okay? You get to choose what types of reports. Do you want people to show up here and give that report? Do you want written reports? Do you just want an email or a phone call to update? Can they update Joe and let her know what's going on with the agency or with the services they're providing? Any point in time, if you want someone to come in or you have questions, they should answer to you. So this is kind of showing your subcontracting. So the City Health and the VNA have that ... And then under VNA, the services that they're providing are home care, skilled nursing, public health services. City Health, I could have put that same thing over there, but as far as public health, more population-based services that they're providing. Okay. Now this is VNA's overall, their chart. So here you see the Board of Supervisors, ... to the Board of Health, ... to the Public Health Manager, or Joe Leitner. This is a piece of VNA's larger TO that reports to their Board of Directors. I just asked for this little piece because it's so huge. Right? So this shows us right.
Just the community
Okay.
public health services that fall under.
Which directly reports to your Board of Directors, right? Okay.
Well, I guess actually there's, you've got the CEO
Okay.
in there.
So I wanted to show you Harrison County. So I could show you guys what you could ask for, because this is something that you might want to ask for. So environmental health, I asked them to show me what exact services do you provide in Harrison County. And so he listed his different programs, but then he also told me who provides it, because they're tanning. Now, at the time this is done, this might have changed. The tanning tattoo pool inspections were done by Shelby County. So you as a Board of Health would know that it was Shelby that would need to report on it, not Harrison County environmental health staff, unless you asked Shelby County to report it to environmental health in here, to let you know. So this is something that is maybe a good way for you to figure out your services that are being provided. And you could do the same thing with public health. This is Homemaker. So Homemaker in Harrison has 4 different services they provide. They do the Homemaker services, the personal care, transportation, and respite. And so what I had them further do, well, they defined it, but here, this shows who they bill their services to. So they had 112 clients that they've provided services to. This was in 6 months of the year. And out of that, you'll see they have private duty, elderly waiver, purchase of service, HIV waiver, health and disability, ID waiver, New York, life insurance, state grant, county, and Southwest Iowa that they're billing to just for Homemaker alone. Okay? 4 services sounds pretty basic, but when you look at how many different billing sources they have and different things that they have to do and hoops you have to jump through for billing it to those different services, it changes it a lot. And so that's what some of the agencies are dealing with too, that you often don't know. Let's see. Public health, this is just a different way. They showed all their services, but this is the same thing that I asked for the environmental health, so I'm not going to go over that any closer. So general conditions are something that are required for the agencies to follow. The general conditions are on the IDPH website. I have a link to them here. These oversee all of the contracts. So even WIC contract falls under general conditions. This is department-wide. Special conditions, this is what the contract looks like for a local public health services grant. It would be the tobacco grant. Do you guys have this for pools, tanning? Yes, okay. So they would have a contract, the same type of contract here. Special conditions, I don't know why we call them that way, but it's special to that specific grant, okay? So you will always see the contract. 588 is the Iowa Department of Public Health. The 8 on this one here, oh, it's so little you can't see that. So there's an 8 next, and that represents FY18. And then CO is the Local Public Health Services Grant. And then we have your county number, okay? It will list on here the funding source, whether it's federal, state, or other, and how much of that you're getting. This is what you will sign. In here, it talks about the key personnel. It also talks about who you would contact at the state if you have questions. The performance measure is within this. So our grant this year had a disincentive for a performance measure. You had to submit a success story, and it's due September 30th. And as long as it gets submitted, then nothing is subtracted from the contract this year. It talks about how you're paid for the grant and any other stipulation there. Let's see. Within that special conditions is a report section. And so this identifies for you what reports that Joe would need to do or Don would need to complete for this grant or any grant Matt would have to do for any grants he has. Just a good little cheat sheet. All right, so this one is kind of weird in here. So this just shows a different way to ask for more information on the services. So tattoo inspections. These are some of the stipulations from it, but the county could put on different stipulations, but that would need to come to the Board of Health. City too, but city would go to city because he won't report out here for that. Wait, am I going the wrong way? Okay. China hip assessment is something we talked about, and you guys have been involved in that. So I don't know if this will let me do this. Click on this. Maybe it's not gonna. I have this linked to the Iowa Department of Public Health website, and so you can go look at the. Yeah, you can find it there. I just cancel that. And so what I did was, the local boards of health individualize the services. So with chore services gone for last year, we no longer provide chore services. Those dollars are now going to City Health and VNA. And have you added services? Are you changing services? Are they still the same? What needs to be done now that chore services are no longer available? Those are all things that you could talk about also at your strategic planning. So I'm not going to go over the rest of this because this is just showing where Pot County is with some of the different China hip piece. Do you guys have questions for me on your role and responsibility as a Board of Health member?
You could get, that slide to Joe, and so she can send that out.
Yes, I could do that. Anything else?
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Dawn. Okay, Chris, the WIC update.
Right. Let's see if I can correct this. Just read that way and go this way. Okay. So this is grant writing season. Report with our participation then. And, the FY 2018 RFP was submitted via iowagrants.gov on Friday, April 21st. We did learn on the 27th that we did not have any competition this year. It is in the Iowa code that every 6 years it goes out as a competitive grant. So, we haven't heard back, we haven't got the contract to sign yet, but we know we scored enough points to have it accepted because there was one county that did not, and that had to go back out. Promise Partners is through, is the early childhood initiatives. We do coordinated intake at our WIC clinics for them. The funding changes depending on their funding, I guess, whether it comes from like state ECI money or if it comes from McVie money. I think this year they are funding us through state ECI. It has gone back and forth about every other year, so we don't know until the last minute. We do have a breastfeeding peer counseling program. That contract is this year about $45,000. Next year, it looks like the applications for our participation level is going to be about 40,000. That is due August 2nd of 2017, not 3017. And that one is competitive this year. That one is competitive every 3 years. So I think there are only 8 agencies out of the 20 WIC agencies that actually are funded for breastfeeding peer counseling. And we've held a breastfeeding peer counseling grant for 6 years. And it really does, it has really improved breastfeeding rates in the county. It's a huge plus for us. Farmers Market Nutrition Program check distribution started June 1st. Their funding was real odd this year too. So normally we receive probably around 1,100 sets of checks for families to use at the local farmers market. And if you're not familiar with those, they have a senior program and a WIC program. It's $27. They can buy Iowa grown fruits and vegetables only. I think the seniors can buy honey, but the WIC participants cannot. And they have to be at approved vendors. So they've changed the markets this year. Are Thursday afternoons at Bayless Park and Saturday morning at the senior center in town. There's also, Avoca has Wednesdays up by the courthouse. And I think 3B Farm is everywhere. So they're an approved vendor. They also, you can go to 3B Farm by Griswold and use them there. So I'd like to make a trip out there. I've never been out there. And so this year we only received like 600 sets of checks at the beginning, and now we just received probably another 600. So their funding, they didn't know what it was going to be when you start out, as many of our federal grant funding goes. And then as they found out what the funding was, they released more benefits to the local providers. We did receive an operational adjustment of $71,000 for the current fiscal year to be used through, our fiscal year runs through September 30. So that will get us through the end of the year. Next year's funding doesn't look as good, I have to say. So, we'll have to see what happens. Any questions about those things? All right.
Thank you.
Our participation has stayed pretty steady. We always have full schedules, but unfortunately they don't always show up.
No. Problematic. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Hi, Don.
No, it's Maria first.
Maria. Oh, it's Maria. I'm sorry, Maria. I just jumped over.
I'm used to moving to the front row.
Got used to seeing you way back there. That's good.
I hope the podium's not in the way. I'll just try and sit tall. I'm gonna start with our septic variance requests. So I had 3 septic variance requests, and then I had a couple of updates on some other things that we had going on for you. The first one is 14585 Meadow Lane, Council Bluffs. And they needed to put in a new septic system. It was one of the ones that ran through the time of transfer inspection program that we were talking about earlier. And it was determined that their tank was not watertight. It was a block tank, like concrete blocks that was put together with a tar seal a number of years ago. I think close to 30, I think. Anyway, so for them to get a conventional system in without doing a pre-treatment system, they had to get a variance to push it closer to the property lines. You need more information from me?
No, so
We already approved this.
we
though, right?
already.
Yep, by
approved
email.
all of these, so we
Yes.
need to vote on each one individually.
Yeah, we do it by email and then run it back through the
Right.
meetings.
So is there a motion?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
All approved?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion has carried.
The second one is 100 Dorset Avenue for Mike and Leah Call. They have a very small lot, and that is one of those small subdivisions where we're starting to get applications in and we're starting to get into trouble with them.
I move that we accept this.
A second.
Any opposed? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Did that backwards.
The third one is 18367 School Hill Avenue. This one is just a little bit different than the standard because they had to put in a pretreatment system. They had literally no room in the yard for any type of lateral system. So the pretreatment system had to go someplace. They did get permission from the county engineer to outlet it into the road ditch.
I thought that one was interesting, but we also voted on that one.
Yep,
So
we
is
did.
there a motion?
I motion we approve.
Second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Nice.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Okay, I just have a couple other things, and I'll try to be quick about it. The pool tattoo and tanning contract that Don was talking about earlier, that's actually a 28E agreement, so it's not on Iowa grants. It's not exactly the same as what she was showing you, but we do have that contract. It's the 3-year contract through June 30th of 2019. We got all of the outdoor or seasonal facilities inspected. The corrective actions, I know you don't want a list of everything from every facility, but it basically ranged from adding soap in the bathrooms, replacing a first aid kit, updating their paperwork, conducting their water testing appropriately, adding their protection to the municipal and groundwater sources, so to make sure that there was no possibility for, no possibility for the contamination of swimming pool water or anything else to go back and contaminate those sources. And then I did have one interesting one that I came across, and they had taken the wading pool that had a skimmer, so it was supposed to, the drain was at the top, and they had changed it to a homemade configuration and plumbed it straight into the pump line to a drain in the bottom of the pool. And so they had this kind of free-floating drain in the bottom of the pool. So that's one of the ones that they're gonna have to fix to protect from entrapment, anything like that. The indoor facilities, we did get a complaint about a possible carbon monoxide contamination at one in Carter Lake. And so we went over and inspected it. Matt went for the building and I went for, the pool. And the manager they had shut off the gas to the water heaters, they'd installed a carbon monoxide detector, and they'd closed the spa. So they basically, they turned off the heat, and they were just gonna run the swimming pool without heat until they got the problem fixed. So the problem has been resolved, but, I mean, it was kind of we were very worried when we got that complaint, because it's very significant potential, life safety hazard at a hotel with sleeping rooms all around it.
My.
The registered daycare inspections I brought up at the last meeting. So far we've had 2 requests for those inspections that we've done. Animal control. So the purpose of animal control is twofold. One is to prevent and investigate communicable diseases or zoonosis. And the other one is to keep the animals from running at large. And we're in the process of expanding this program, just not only to just check on those complaints of neglect or bite calls and the possible disease issues, but to educate new acreage owners that are moving out to the county and, they're wanting to expand their animals and have more, and just educate the general public to help them be more successful. For June, we had 10 cats that were dropped off. We didn't pick up any dogs running at large. We had 108 animal calls in June. We had 5 bite complaints. One of them was turned over to the city. The rest were quarantined for 10 days. So none of them, came positive for rabies, which is good. And the staff, we did hire a new animal control officer. She just started, and she's very excited to get to know all the ropes and be an independent part of our team. So she's already shown great success learning and working with all the complaints, and we did have 49 applicants for the position. So it was a lot. We also have the 3 part-time on-call staff, so they cover the nights, the weekends, and holidays. And then the last 2 things I have is the DNR called us to do some air monitoring in Council Bluffs. And so there's 2 sites in Council Bluffs, and that's something that we're gonna pick up. They're working together a contract for us. And that would be going out approximately 2 times a week, and then sending the stuff into the state hygienic lab. And the last one is we're offering radon test kits for sale through our office. And I know Dawn does that, but it's something I've wanted to expand on for a long time. And we have these handouts in the office. And we're just gonna offer them at cost for about $8. And that's all I had, unless you had some questions.
Very good. Any discussion? Thank you, Maria. Okay, Don?
Well, in the essence of time, I'll try to be real quick. But I do have a kind of a crazy animal control story to tell you.
Okay.
So July 1, we had a postal worker that got bit. The dog attacked his leg, but under the city code, a bite has to break the skin, so it wasn't really considered a bite because it. So we declared the dog dangerous because it was aggressive and cited for running at large. The postmaster decided that he was not going to deliver a 2-block area, and has not yet since July 1st. And there are people upset at us. Well, what are you gonna do? I said, we've done everything we can by law. The dog's been staying in the house at this point in time under a dangerous dog. If they do take it out and let it out, it has to be in a totally enclosed kennel. But anyway, it's just, I'm going, how can, I talked to the postmaster and asked him, how can you set that kind of a guideline when it was one person? You're penalizing everybody else in the neighborhood, and people are very upset. Anyway, it's kind of a unique situation. With regard to mosquitoes, one of our mosquito testing pools tested positive for Zika. We and Polk County are the only two in the state so far that have had positive pools, mosquito pools. And because of, I should say not Zika, West Nile.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for catching that, didn't you see me go, ugh.
Yeah, no, West Nile, I'm sorry.
Shouldn't say that's better, but that's better, yeah.
But it is better.
I got everybody all.
You did, got my attention.
Well, we are worried about the Zika, and that's why they've expanded our pools. We've got, gosh, I think I've got 7 or 8 different types of testing, trapping situations going around town. The Aedes albopictus and the Aedes aegypti are the 2 mosquito species that actually carry the Zika virus. And the albopictus we've had those in Iowa before, not a lot of them. So they're really stepping up the trapping situation to make sure that we don't. There was one albopictus species found in Plattsmouth, Nebraska here earlier this year. So that's why they've stepped that up. So hopefully we don't, but as you well know, with viruses, how things can change and they can adapt and different species can carry that. If this moves to the Culex mosquito, it's a different species. We have all over the state of Iowa, we will be in deep doo-doo. So I guess just be aware of that. We are going to start again. This will be our 9th full season for our urban deer management program. We will start that. It starts September 16th. We will do some of our preventive and getting everybody tested probably the end of August and that sort of thing. We have been busy with communicable diseases. I will have a year-end report for you the next time. I didn't have time to put one together of all the communicable diseases that we've done over fiscal year 17. Environmentally, the guys, I tell you, weeds and solid waste and junk vehicles have, just last month alone, I'm down to 2 sanitarians now, and they did almost around 790 inspections for the month. So that keeps me busy. Recycling center, we're busy. We had approximately 40,000 vehicles come through in fiscal year 17. It's been very busy, and then with probably even be busier once Matt gets his stuff, and we're working out some things with them as far as being able to take some of the product that they have, and also some of the mulch or something that we have, being able to get that out into the county so it's a little closer than having to come into our facilities. So a lot of different things down the road, and I guess I'll just quit that.
I have a question. The 2 new vaccines for, is it 7th and 12th?
Oh, yeah.
There's.
Call Tanya on that.
Okay,
She's an expert
right.
on any vaccine combos or anything.
Do you anticipate a big old
Yes.
push as soon as
legislative-
school starts?
But no, people will wait till the last minute. That's
Right.
usually what
But
how it
there's
works.
one at 7th grade and 12th grade,
Well,
is that?
currently we have the Tdap requirement, and that's been in place for the last
Mhm.
couple of years. But the meningitis shot,
Okay,
they are requiring now all 7th grade incoming students to be vaccinated, as well as 12th grade. And really, the intelligence there is that within a 5-year period, we'll have more coverage.
okay,
Right.
Did I read that law had changed to no admittance if they don't have that Tdap at 7th grade?
Well, I think it's really up to each district, but, yeah, I think that they have that capability of denying. But, since this is the first season coming into it, of course, there's gonna be people that aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
So there might be, I don't usually do audits until October or so. So, there's usually a 60-day period that people have time. And, it's not in the school's best interest to withhold,
yeah.
students from coming to class. I mean,
Right.
So hopefully there'll be a little,
Lenient.
have some mercy on that.
Thank you, everyone. there any other business to come before the meeting? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
So it has been moved and seconded.